Skywalker. Rise.
What's happening, YouTube? My name's Immortal Coil, and today we're talking the rise of Skywalker. It is a weird and wacky time in the world of Star Wars. On the one hand, The Mandalorian is a runaway success. 3 episodes in, and some of the most hardcore cynics have been softened by Baby Yoda. So that's great. The direction that Favreau and Filoni are taking with this show, I think, is healthy for Star Wars. It's what we've been missing. It's what we've been wanting to see. But on the other hand, on the movie side of things, Disney Lucasfilm is ramping up for The Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9. And towards that end, I've seen 2 30-second clips, which one of them adds a little bit. The other one just kind of shows how silly this whole proceeding is. And it's really leaving me with the sense like the immediate future of Star Wars is in streaming. We got The Mandalorian, we got Obi-Wan on the plate, and then, yeah, we got this little movie that we gotta get out of the way. I was actually tripping out a little bit when I first came across these clips because I thought the final trailer was the final trailer. Actually, and in researching this, I found out that these are called like TV clips, that kind of thing. So they would run like regular trailers in their marketing and then run little TV spots that can be 30 seconds long. And we see this all the time. You just look in the bonus features of any prequel era. They include all that kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and break this stuff down. The first trailer that I found was called Fate. And I actually first saw this on Instagram. But doing a quick little search, Star Wars has both of these. So let's go ahead and get into this first one. So this Fate TV spot only gives us a few little more morsels than we got from the final trailer. We open up with the Death Star remnant on Kef Bir. We hear Mark Hamill say,
Confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi.
See, Kylo Ben is pissed. He's swinging around his crossguard lightsaber very intimidatedly. And Rey's like, yeah, bitch, I bit you once, I'm gonna bit you again. And then we come to the scene with the Knights of Ren standing on this desert canyon planet that's definitely not Tatooine. This idea of the Knights of Ren, I think, is possibly the most underutilized, potentially fascinating thing that was cooked up for this trilogy. Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren were supposedly responsible for bringing down Luke Skywalker's new Jedi Order. Some of these knights are potentially former students of Luke's who was like, yeah, he's an old corny motherfucker, so let's go ahead and destroy this thing before it gets too far out of hand. Had those crazy couple lines from The Force Awakens. Kylo Ren, master of the Knights of Ren, blah, 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 blah. Then in The Last Jedi, it's kind of like, yeah, fuck that. They weren't even mentioned, not once. But apparently, once Kylo Ben became the supreme leader, the Knights of Ren are important again. And very much like Spaceballs, they're out there combing the desert.
We ain't found shit!
Okay, next in the clip, we see something that I'm going to expound upon a little bit further once we get to the second clip. But this is the jetpack trebuchet-launched stormtroopers. I know somewhere EVS is grading about that, but that's not quite the trebuchet we were looking for. So go ahead and shoot at it, Ray. Yeah. And then against a backdrop of imagery that we've seen in the final trailer, we hear 3PO morbidly observing.
If this mission fails, it was all for nothing.
Which, in retrospect, is kind of a relevant epitaph for this third episode of the sequel trilogy. If this thing fails, it's all for nothing. And then Poe has his moment. He says the same thing we heard the last time. And we got horses in outer space fighting a TIE fighter brigade, which I think is J.J. Abrams trying to play with the idea of Ewoks and stormtroopers. Except this time it's in space, and there's horses that can run in space. And then right after the Game of Thrones scene, we get a glimpse at one of these red-clad, armored death troopers. Now, typically we associate that Imperial red with the Emperor's Guard. Highly trained warriors that protected the Sith in their most vulnerable moments, right? Except I actually don't think that these death troopers are going to be as scary or intimidating. I just think J.J. Abrams has a hard-on for the color red. It's a bad robot thing. It's a 3PO arm thing. Somebody buy him a bottle of Heinz ketchup for Christmas. And then speaking of the Emperor, we actually get to hear him say,
Your journey nears its end.
and this is actually the part of the clip that I want to focus on because we see a little bit of the lightsaber battle, which is terrible. Now, back in the day, we had Nick Gillard, who crafted very well thought out, very lyrical lightsaber duels. Probably the penultimate Star Wars lightsaber duels, and one I would say would be in Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul, and then of course Anakin versus Obi-Wan, Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar. Now you can tell that there was a lot of thought put into this because they analyzed the characters. They knew in the case of Vader versus Obi-Wan, that's brother versus brother, or like a father fighting a son. Obi-Wan, in particular, has had a lot of loss handed to him at the hands of the Sith, and it's his fate that he keeps on having to fight these motherfuckers. But when I'm looking at this footage of Rey and Kylo Ren fighting, you can tell that these are actors who don't really care as much about the sword play as the actors in the prequels. Okay, Rey and Kylo Ben are flailing wildly at one another. And as someone who has messed around with a sword once or twice, I find the cross-guard lightsaber to be an incredibly poor design. You have a very major vulnerability right down the hilt. And we've seen in episodes of Rebels, Darth Vader cutting a lightsaber hilt. We've seen Obi-Wan Kenobi cut through Darth Maul's lightsaber hilt. And in one instance, the opponent was disarmed, but in the other instance, it was a fatal flaw that closed Darth Maul's eyes forever. If Rey was worth the two shits that people poured into her creation, she would have seen that and exploited that, or just used the Force to rip the saber out of his hands and then throw him in the ocean or something. And who knows, we might even get that in the final cut. We'll see. So that's my thoughts on the first clip. This is an interesting game of chess that Disney Lucasfilm is playing, because of course they're going to have to advertise the fact that there's a movie coming out on December 20th. But again, the way that these clips are assembled could be interpreted as a reflection of the way that this movie is being crafted in the editing bay, instead of having a strong script to begin with. Now, the second clip that we see here is extremely goofy, and I don't know if this is them trying to make you chuckle so you think that Star Wars is cute, or if we're really seeing Disney Lucasfilm showing their ass. It starts off on Not Boonta Eve, on a place called Not Tatooine, where there is a stormtrooper or a sand trooper, I don't know, looking for the Three Stooges. And Chewie's there, and BB-8's there, and they're flying across the sand, trying to elude these pursuers. when out of nowhere we see the ass end of this Batman tumbler flip up and ejaculate 2 jet-packed stormtroopers into the sky. And then this leads to another folly of a logic to me, because Rey gets pissed off and starts like blasting as fast as she can at nothing. But a force-sensitive person of her stature shouldn't have to rely on a blaster. She should either be able to catch these jetpack people with her mind in the sky and make them fly into a rock or something, or use the force to shut down their jetpacks and just have them drop like flies. But she can't be bothered to do that, no, because 3PO and Po' Boy are busy saying, they can fly now? Yep, they can fly. So yeah, just a really silly clip from a probably silly movie. Now it should seem crazy to all of us that something as low budgeted as the show, The Mandalorian, which I believe has 8 episodes, can have the same aesthetic, similar music, similar special effects, but pull it off because the people who are crafting the story actually care about Star Wars, versus this multi-million-dollar movie that pretty much everybody's snickering at. And we know not to go in with any expectations because Rian Johnson ruined all of that for us. We're all just basically going in with this attitude of, you hurt me once, I'm not going to let you hurt me again. So go ahead, say what you have to say. So, there you have it. My thoughts on the latest clips from Star Wars Episode 9. My name's Immortal Coil. Like, share, subscribe, drop me a comment. Let me know what you want to see covered on future editions of Savage Spirituality. Check out my brothers and sisters in the Fandom Menace. We're a group of channels dedicated to calling out the bullshit that passes as entertainment in 2019. And together, we can turn around the shit show and get back to some real entertainment. And remember, the end is just the next beginning.
Hunt down this new enemy, and if they will not serve the Empire, eliminate them